it meant anything goes. Anyone could die, anyone could fall in love, anyone could die, anyone could fall in love, anyone could die, anyone could die.
Age of Apocalypse.
Concept was so cool.
Age of Apocalypse.
Concept was so cool.
People couldn't believe it. They had to believe it. People couldn't believe it. They had to believe it.
Everything that you hit on the known level. Out the window. Everything that you hit on the known level. Out the window. Everything that you hit on the known level. Out the window.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, and we're here to talk about Age of Apocalypse. We're back to my favorite book of this whole thing so far, Gambit and the X-Ternals. Ready to find out what's going to happen to the McCran, what's going to happen to Gambit. There's going to be some sacrifices, going to be some betrayals. This book is all over the place, man. Like, this is, like, they really saved all of the, like, imagine if everything in Game of Thrones Season 1 happened in the very last episode. Like, Bran got his knees broke. You know what I'm saying? It's just literally everything. Or even
Incredible.
that, or the last
like
10 episodes.
Tyrion goes to the Eyrie, has the trial, and comes back. And it's like a 4-minute sequence.
Just squish it down. Like, got a super cut of things that happen in Game of Thrones. It takes you 2 seconds. Man,
it's basically the last time on Gambit and the X-Ternals, but as an issue.
Yeah,
previously on.
This is Gambit and the X-Ternals number 4. To catch people up, Gambit is leading a team including Lila Cheney, Guido, Strong Guy, Jubilee. Who's the Sunspot? On a quest to get the McCran crystal, because that has reality-changing powers that Magneto wants to use to put the timeline back to where it should be. Sunspot just sacrificed himself, so he absorbed a bunch of energy to allow Lila Cheney and company to teleport away, and they went back to the mansion, noticed that the mansion had been destroyed, and they are searching underneath the mansion for Charles.
Well, with the X-Ternals are not just yet. Also, it's worth noting Richter is there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Please don't let me.
Richter, whose costume is one skin-tight pair of pants and that's it, is hanging out as well. We start off without the X-Ternals. We start off with the the Amazing X-Men. With what's his name? Exodus and Dazzler, searching for Nanny to try to find Charles,
which they do, and they find the completely destroyed carcass of Nanny.
Yep. And then we cut over to Apocalypse interviewing our shirtless boy Richter.
Yes.
Here. Did you think for a second this seemed like beneath Apocalypse?
Not just for a second, throughout the entire fucking issue. The Shadow King works for it. You have the Shadow King in a fucking cup in the room. Have that dude just read this dude's mind. Yeah, what are we doing? Why is Richter talking?
pour the Shadow King on him like a coach who won a football game and gets Gatorade poured on him.
Absolutely. Give him that Shadow King aid.
Get this Berry Blast Shadow King all over somebody. Arctic Thunder Shadow King flavor all over him.
I have a friend who started watching Legion because she watched Fargo, the TV show. And it's done by that same dude, that Noah Hawley guy. And she's really in it for like the editing more than anything. She knows nothing about the X-Men, but she was like, man, the Shadow King guy rules. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. She's like, is there any other? And I was like, nope, this is it. This is the one thing.
They introduced him and finished him in this entire
you don't want to seek out anything else, I promise.
Yeah, he doesn't show up anywhere else. But this is basically, he's saying Apocalypse, this is taking place after the fact.
Yes.
And he's like, how, because you're very loyal, I'm going to give you a chance to explain yourself, but you fucked up like 100 lifetimes of carefully crafted work. You almost really cost me substantially.
And here's my opinion on that, is that if you're such a bad like Apocalypse, I don't know what his title is, but if you're such a bad, in Shabawa or whatever the fuck your name is, that you can allow Richter to mess up 100 lifetimes worth of careful planning, then you done fucked up. Like, that's on you. That's not on Richter. You have fucked up.
And the problem is also inside your HR department. Like Richter probably shouldn't have been.
Well, when you put Mr. Sinister in charge of your HR situation, it's just going to turn into another Ubisoft immediately.
Yeah. Like the Kotaku report on Apocalypse's words. Patrick Klepek has some real dirt on the working culture at the Bends.
I'm going to name the episode title this just so that one day Patrick Klepek like sees this in his notifications like, what in the fuck?
Yes. This issue's kind of all over the place, as you mentioned. We cut back over now to the X-Ternals, who are also in the sewer. They just teleported in.
Yes. So we have divided our teams up. So we've got Gambit and Lila Chaney on one side, and then somewhere else in the sewers is going to be Jubilee and Strongman.
Yeah, and they're running away from Richter's earthquakes.
Yes.
That he's sending at them.
And because he's like causing earthquakes in the middle of the sewer, like the whole place is coming down around him essentially.
Yep. And they sent Jubilee and Guido with the crystal, knowing Richter would go after him.
Yep.
So this is Gambit's basically sacrificing himself.
Yes.
And there's this great little bit, like she's like, "Oh, so you dragged me along with you?" It's like, "'Cause you're my girl.
Like, you're my woman.
If we gonna die in some stinking sewer tunnel, wouldn't it be nice if we did it together?"
Well, Jenny's like, I could have teleported to the mall. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't need to be here.
I went to the fucking moon, dude. Yeah, it's very good, and she loves it. She's like very charmed by it.
Super into it. Yeah,
he's sacrificing me. It's great. So they blast through the tunnel. They're continuing through this. And she's like, "Oh, so we're just decoys, and we're gonna go back." And Gambit basically fesses up. He's like, "Yeah, nobility doesn't suit me very well, And she says, "Better than you think." And they share a kiss at this point. Like, yeah, it is very nice. And they even the narration starts talking about Rogue. Like she's loved him from the moment they met, but he loved another truly, deeply, and then they're in the shadow of that passion. It's like really fucked up.
Yeah. Like I love it.
Poor Lila Cheney.
Can you imagine making out with somebody and be like, are they really over their ex? Is this a pity kiss? Is this just are they thinking about them?
Yeah. I think that's very common, but not.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Not after this long. This is like quite a bit. And whenever Gambit talks about it, he's like, "A boy needs loving," and stuff. And it's just like, man, Gambit, not super ethical, my man.
Also, it's not like isn't it kind of heavily implied that they didn't actually date, that this is just like a one-way relationship? Like, I know Rogue has been like kind of into him, and like they almost had that kiss before. I forget who showed up. Blink maybe showed up and like broke it up, but like it's kind of implied that they didn't date, that she's always been with Magneto, which I find very funny.
I don't know if I don't know if they like dated. I think it was mutual at this point. But I don't think they actually were together. I don't know though. We might find out in X-Men Chronicles
or not, depending on the schedule of the podcast.
And I cannot remember what the content of those issues is.
So they make out for a little bit, and then stuff starts falling into, like, they start hearing more booms throughout, and Richter shows up. Gary, I don't know that we've done a check-in on Richter lately, but shirtless, yes. Utility belt, yes.
That's new. I think he got that from the
from Gladiator,
from the Imperial Guard.
We are impressed with your skill. Have this belt of many pouches.
Have this belt of many pouches and these harem pants. Let's upgrade from your skin tight painted on pants.
Richter, we pronounce you too legit.
Only the Empress's honor guard can claim who is too legit for the Shi'ar Empire.
That one weird prophet guy, hey, right in the background. Yeah, this is a look, man, especially with like the wrapping around of like the hand wrappings that he's got that matches the utility belt, and like the utility belt has a little tail.
It's extremely kung fu.
It's weirdly kung fu for a guy that has like earth shattering powers and No
Yeah.
kung fu that we have seen that I know of.
Who has never punched anybody as far as I know. um, it's really weird. And then he's like, he's yelling and he's like trying to get Gambit's goat. He's like, do you hear me? You are a criminal. And like that line does not sound as badass as you think it is.
Nope.
Cop.
Nope.
I don't care that your woman saved me on this planet in my jurisdiction. You're a wanted felon.
You're a hall
man,
monitor. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Jesus Christ, Richter. Like you're gonna bring Gambit to trial. What are you talking about? This wanted felon shit.
Extremely
Also,
bad.
there's some like apostrophed words which imply Richter has an accent, but I have no idea what it's supposed to be. Like, I don't care that your woman saved me. Like, but Richter hasn't really shown an accent before this, I don't think.
Man, who the fuck knows? And then give me everything I deserve. Like, it does sound like he's like they're trying to do something here, but they don't have that deft Chris Claremont hand on it. So
and they can't go full Gambit
No.
on him because we'll get confused.
He's got my accent. Where like I'm basically he's got a North Louisiana accent where every once in a while I'll drift into it, but not a lot, and it never sounds as good as I want it
to. He basically says like after he gets Gambit, Apocalypse will smile on him, and then we switch back over to the interrogation.
Yeah, he's literally doing the facepalm emoji. I love it.
Yeah, his super small hand. He's like you didn't even consider that you were duped. Like that Gambit would do the old switcheroo, and Richter's like, well, listen, I thought that the leader of the X-Ternals would be important to you. Like you'd want to catch that. And Apocalypse pets Charles's head here like a cat. It's real weird.
Very strange.
And is like, yeah. And now Charles is blonde because, we can't keep this kid straight. But he says, you thought wrong. Like he is a petty thief. And the child escape had possessions, the means to alter the face of the universe. Like, you fucking idiot. And Richter knew this. Like, he heard people talk about the McCran crystal as much as anybody else did.
But he was too busy getting fitted for pants. He was just having enough time to really absorb the lore.
That's just a 32 is long enough, but it's a little too wide.
You're really going to need to tape down those ankles, man. I don't want any air to get up in there.
Do you have any tailors in the Shi'ar Empire? The idea is he's more obsessed with vengeance.
Yeah.
Than he is with actually his thing. But I don't know if they set up this vengeance angle very good. Like Richter is not a good character in this comic. Like he's fine in the 616, but like Age of Apocalypse Richter is pretty lame.
Yes,
I think.
Agreed. From here we switch over to Jubilee, who not only has the McCran crystal, but also has Charles, who is screaming his little ass off. She is completely stressed out. She doesn't know where she's going. She doesn't know her way around these sewers because Guido knew, and she's not with Guido for some reason. She doesn't even know that there's a place called Westchester. So she's really fucking clueless and like kind of scared and alone right now. Yep.
She's kind of wanders through. She sees a fallout door and starts walking through it. And there's another earthquake here. This causes a flood of shit water that kind of chases her. And then she runs right into Guido.
Yep.
And as the cover's spoiled, Guido is bad at this point. And he's like, listen, I'm sorry. I love you, but I can't let you get away with that kid and that crystal.
This is just the dumbest plot line that happens because like he says that there's like they planted a bug inside of him and he had to work with them to keep everybody alive, but then like he spends the rest of the issue helping them out basically. Like it's really weird.
It's a pretty bad bug. They're not really monitoring it. Like they're just like we just all we did was like stick a Tic Tac to the back of his neck and tell him it was a bug. And just figure there aren't very many mirrors in the sewer, so like we'll be all right. The idea of him being compromised before the series starts, like I kind of like.
Yeah, me too.
And his whole thing is like they just said we weren't important. So like I figured this would keep us alive, and I care more about my friends than I do about the mission. They wanted Gambit. They thought they could use him to get to Rogue. I hated Gambit anyway, so I took this thing. Like this, this is fine. And he doesn't even doesn't fight Jubilee. He just takes the stuff because what is she going to do?
And she's not only does she not want to fight her friend, but like she's kind of outclassed here on a physical basis.
Yep.
And he's like, I do love you, but like this is the way it's got to be, and sorry, basically.
Yep. I hope you can forgive me.
We jump back over to Richter, who was like, I didn't know all of that was going on, like until much later. Apocalypse is doing like his very like mean Apocalypse face. It's like, you thought it was by design or by mere coincidence. And again, like this is where you really start to think, what is Apocalypse doing right here? Like this seems like so incredible. Like you have to have layers of dudes so that you don't have to do this anymore, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Like I don't have any dudes, but I feel like if I had to interrogate somebody, I'd still get somebody else to do it.
Tim Cook
like I would just put it in the
iPhones,
Slack mods channel.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I put it in the Slack mod channel and be like, hey, does anybody want to interrogate Richter?
be Mia Jala. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
Kind of been busy. Dennis, can you do this? Like I am, of course, kidding.
I'll retreat your card game, Dennis. Just torture this guy for me.
So they go back. Richter thought he was lucky. Apocalypse taunts him, like you were wrong again. Oh wait, you're always wrong. Like this is, I don't feel bad for Richter in this, but he's being real mean.
Yeah.
They bust through Gambit and Leela Cheney. They bust through a wall and into this kind of like chamber. The main access tunnel, this like Gothic cathedral, Dark Souls, bottom of the sewers of Old Yarnum looking sewer chamber here.
Because if you're gonna make a sewer, like you need to make it as like fucking Gothic as possible, right?
Yeah. And they're trying to get out. Like they see the light, and they're like, "We're gonna get out, and Richter's gonna follow us."
Yeah. But before they can do that, Guido shows up, and it doesn't take a whole lot of people a whole lot of time to figure out, like, wait, you're coming the wrong direction. You shouldn't be coming that direction.
Yep. And even Guido's even like, you weren't supposed to be here. And then they all notice, like, hey, you're holding Magneto's baby.
Oh yeah, you got a baby with you.
Yeah. Like, you acquired a child.
Who child that shit?
You should be running into other direction. Gambit's a little slow on the uptake, but he figures it out here. And then Richter pops in. Take a wild guess, idiot. Guido's working for me.
I love Guido's reaction to this, where he's just like, "Oh man,"
he face palms.
He's like, "Not this fucking."
If you like
dude.
face palms, yeah, like everybody's face palming. And this he's like, "Fuck, I can't believe I'm working for Richter."
Yeah, but he says, like, Bobby sacrificed himself for you. Like, we did all of this work, all of this fighting Apocalypse, and like, what are you doing? Of course, Richter's like, only you're the one that got sold out, and he starts trashing the place, thinking he can just kill all of them.
Yeah. Yep. Including Guido. But, he's like, I don't think anyone's going to blink if this traitor gets killed here. And Guido does not want the baby to die. So it looks like it's kind of hard to see what's happening in this panel. It looks like he yeets him into a sewer tube. Is that what you see here? Like Guido throwing the baby into that tube?
I guess so.
That's what it looks like. I don't know if that happened or Gambit grabbed the baby or like what exactly
because Gambit definitely does not have the baby. And then the next shot, Guido has the baby. So maybe the baby was like falling and then he caught the baby?
It's very hard to know the baby blocking in this. Got
my baby blocking all mixed up. Yeah, because look, so he says no the baby, and then in the next panel he's like, no, I got the baby. Where's Lila? And then in the next page you see him actually holding a crying, somewhat smaller Charles. Charles gets smaller every time that he gets scared. So.
Shrunk to the size of a fist. And the idea is, you're the only one who can save her, LeBeau, but Rogue Sun and the Crystal Shard. So the idea is Gambit has to choose.
Yes.
Only he can reach the Cheney in time as the ceiling is collapsing and stuff. And Guido is sacrificing himself.
Yeah, he's holding up the whole thing.
He's redeemed himself.
Yeah. So I guess the bug doesn't matter anymore, or whatever like they had on him does not matter anymore.
Yeah,
who cares? Yeah. And Gambit chooses Lila here, which is I think what's supposed to be the big moment for Gambit, because we had all of that dialogue about like Lila just being his slam piece and is he really still into Rogue and all that stuff, but when it really came down to it, he chose her as over the baby of his ex-girlfriend and the crystal from outer space that will save reality. So that's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah it's a big redemption moment for Gambit, like making his world a little bit smaller
Is this kind of like Ruth Chris on
You
the
know.
second date? You think it's a kind of you know what I'm saying? Like you just really go for it.
Like the steakhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm willing to buy you a $40 plate of macaroni and cheese, girl. I like you.
Try to get a cheeseburger, if you would.
Yeah.
So the Richter shows up and he's like, I came right here bypassing my supervisor because I thought you'd want to know that Gambit and the X-Ternals were dead. And Apocalypse calls him out. He's like, you just wanted to advance your position. Normally I would like that, admire that zealousness, but not for you. And not in this case. I got the baby. And basically he's like, yeah, it was brought to me by somebody who knew better. This is Magneto's son, you idiot. And Guido did bring in the baby.
So he is a bad guy after all. So he, hey, Gambit, make the moral choice. Oh, okay. Well, you chose my girlfriend, so
so fuck you.
I'm gonna kill your reality.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the ultimate revenge move. He's tried to redeem himself, to save the woman he loves, and it worked. And to him, he's like, everybody gets what they want except for me. So, so that now Apocalypse has the Macran crystal.
Yes, and the baby, which it's got to be important. His name is Charles. He's got to be important.
Yeah, it's like a torturing bargaining chip. It's just there to make Rogue feel bad. So.
I don't know. Like, I would have that question, right? Like, we're in the Slack mods channel, and you're like, at everyone, who can torture Richter for me? I'm busy, and I'd be like, well, like, do I have to hold a baby while I'm doing it? Like, is that like, is there any childcare involved? Like, I'm not going to be. I am willing to torture. I just don't want to really babysit at the same time. So,
yeah, yep. They go together, unfortunately. I love that Apocalypse kills Richter off panel.
Yeah, Apocalypse
is on panel. But he's like, Richter's like, what about me? I've been in your service. And he goes, so shall you be, you, and so too, Richter, shall your death. And he smacks him, and we just see Apocalypse smacking Richter, who is off panel, getting killed.
Wild.
What an indignity.
What a choice.
Yeah. What a final horrible thing to happen to Richter.
Richter stands. Shout out. Where you at? This atrocity.
Just incredible.
And of course, he talks about Guido losing his soul and all this stuff. He talks about Richter basically losing his soul. And then we cut back over to where Dazzler and Exodus, who were searching through these sewers in the very beginning of the issue, now find a very dazed but still alive Gambit and Lila Cheney. So, good.
And they basically are like, hey, did you get the crystal? And he's like, technically, yeah, I got these answers, but you're not going to like them.
And, why? Like, why did we have the betrayal? Why do we have, like, none of it even seemed to matter that much. So, like, why are we going through all of these things? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea was just if the X-Men had all the pieces, there'd be no reason to go to Apocalypse's base and fight him.
What about gloat? You got to gloat? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
look what we did.
They also got. I think they could have done something cool with, like, they had the crystal and stuff, but then Apocalypse had Charles.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. So they had to decide, like, do we just go ahead with the plan, or can I leave my son?
I'm actually kind of okay with I guess I'm okay with this because, like, as much as it didn't matter, like the reason that Apocalypse has the crystal and Charles is because, like, Guido wanted to get laid and couldn't because of Gambit. So I guess I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine. That works for me. That's where Age of Apocalypse is right now.
I actually like it for Gambit's arc. Like, I like Gambit getting over Rogue at this point and choosing, like, hey, this person's been very loyal, and, like, I really do love this person in this part. Like, I'm always down for somebody taking the small win, Mm-hmm. I think that's, like, good and sad, So pretty good, a little chaotic. I think the time jumping and the interrogation framing of this is not super well handled.
Yeah, and not necessary whatsoever.
Super not necessary. Like, nobody was holding their breath waiting to see what happened to Richter. Like, this is supposed to be kind of like The Usual Suspects or some shit where, like, you jump back and forth between the interrogation and what happened, like a heist movie, and it kind of doesn't work. I'm cool with everything that happens, but I don't think it carries that genre intrigue very well.
Same. I'm with you on that one. 100%. Yeah. So that's Gambit and the X-Ternals. So we're gonna find out more about what happens to them later in X-Men Omega and Amazing X-Men
Omega.
In the meantime, if you like the show, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv is the best place to support us. You can also leave ratings and reviews in various podcast places. More importantly, tell all of your friends about the show. If you've got some X-Men fans or some non-X-Men fans, friends, then just listen to this weird podcast where these two dudes talk about X-Men stuff.
We don't only talk about X-Men.
Yeah,
sometimes jokes happen.
Sometimes there's video games.
Yeah, sometimes there's video games or other jokes. Real quick correction to something I said a couple episodes ago. I think I said that X-Men Omega was the bad.
You did.
Comic. X-Men Prime.
Yeah.
Is the shit one that is really, really bad and is the real world.
But now,
so X-Men Omega is good.
Okay.
Like, looking forward to talking about X-Men Omega. X-Men Prime, bullshit.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, if you would like to correct Gary, patreon.com/DuckFeedTV is the place to do it.
Or at Plumber Duck.
At Plumber Duck.
Ratings, reviews are very welcome. We appreciate those as well. And we appreciate you listening and staying safe. Your job this year is to live through the pandemic and not get anybody else sick or get sick yourself.
Yeah.
If you've done that, you won.
You've done good.
So
don't. Hey, this does not have to be a productive time for you. You can just sit on your ass and listen to podcasts and play video games. Like, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, eat snacks.
Michelangelo took like 17 years to make one painting. Just think about that. You got time. You got plenty of time.
You got so much time, dude. Like, Guided by Voices didn't start. That's like Rob Pollard's second career.
Yeah.
Like, he was a teacher, an English teacher for like a long time, and then he formed this like great rock and roll band. You still have time.
The moral here is don't compare yourself to other people that are successful at your age. Compare yourself to other people that are much older than you and more successful than you.
Exactly.
Look at the 50-year-olds. Look at the 60-year-olds that are just getting started.
Yeah.
That could be you one day, Gary. You could be 60 years old and famous.
God, I can't wait. Cannot wait.
We love you. Bye, everybody.